I'm out in a pretty remote location right now. I found this creek that's dried up because this land is really dry. There's all these invasive carp. They're stranded in this water right now. The creek has literally just become a few isolated pools disconnected from each other. All these fish have nowhere to go. The wildlife is slowly picking them off. Now, from a survival standpoint, that's one of the easiest hunting opportunities that there is. That's meat just waiting to be picked up. And also, these fish are invasive. They'll probably die anyway, given that they're in a stranded pool and that it's October now and things are going to start freezing. So we're going to pick one for a meal. I don't have anything to hunt with though, so we're going to make a quick survival bow. There's a couple thickets of trees that look like they might work. We'll make a quick fishing arrow too, and I've got some twine with me, so hopefully we can make that work for the string and as a way to retrieve the arrow. So let's get us some fish. Here's how you make the bow. There's one in here that's growing relatively straight, a little curvature to it, but in a favorable way. It's already dead and seasoned. That's even better. Absolutely no room to swing. It's a frustrating situation, but we'll just do what we can. It'll still come down. It's just going to take more time than I'd like. Chokecherry is a quite hard wood. The fact that this is seasoned means we'll be able to make a quick survival bow that hits a lot harder. There's so few trees in this region, so there's no stumps I can easily chop this against. There we go. Keep your axe sharp. That's the only reason I could do that. My axe is quite sharp always. It's going to make a nice stave. I don't need it to hit that hard. I don't need it to have any reflex either. We'll probably make this bent region the belly of the bow. That makes it nice and easy. It reduces stress on the wood, and I suspect this stave is severely twisted, so reducing those stresses is going to really be needed to keep this from blowing up. We'll see what we can do. Always keep a small axe on hand, whether that's a tomahawk or a hatchet. This is a small felling axe, kind of a boy's axe, but it's more handy for carrying around because of its size. I can still do a lot of work with this. Okay, this thicker limb will be the lower limb, and the thinner limb will probably be the upper limb. We're just going to carve the belly of the bow, no carving on the back of it. Let's rough it out real quick, try and make those limbs even, give it a handle in the center. Got to find a harder surface to work on. There we go, got this old willow. Fell over at some point in this dry riverbed, the same dry riverbed with the chokecherry thicket. Just give that limb a decent taper. We'll have to thin it out sideways too. Start thinning it sideways. My tomahawk works much better for carving. Wish I had that right now. The limb should follow the curvature of the branch. Sometimes the bow shows you how it wants to be made. There we go. That's getting some flex to it. Work on the other limb for a little. It's definitely not centered. Alright, I'm really worried this is going to break. just need it to hold on long enough. One good shot. So I got this limb bending a little better. This bottom limb now needs some work. Okay, we're gonna call that good. Here's our bow. I mean, it's rough, but hopefully it'll get the job done. Last thing, we gotta put in a couple of notches so we can tie our string in. There we go. On this side, we'll just do a single side notch. Now here's the other side. We have a natural knot here. That's going to help us out. I always keep a bit of twine in my haversack. That's going to come in handy right now. We're going to make a quick bowstring from this. Now, if it really came down to it, I can make a bowstring in the wild. Around here, there's yucca. You can process yucca pretty quickly, and it makes a very strong bowstring. This, in fact, is sisal twine. It's not going to be as strong as a yucca cord, but this is quicker. It's worth it for me right now. We're going to double this up on itself. Just doing a bit of a reverse twist. The sisal twine is twisted the opposite way I'm used to, so I don't really have the muscle memory for doing a reverse twist backwards. Doing what I can though, it'll take me longer. Even a loose twist is better than no twist because a twist actually adds strength to the string. Two strands side by side, untwisted, have a combined strength that's weaker than those same two strands that are twisted together. If you want to see how to make really fine cordage out in the wild, check out this video right here. It's one of my most popular videos. It's a great tutorial on making dogbane cordage. And dogbane occurs all over North America. The quick way of doing twine this way is take your two pieces and twist them in the direction that the fibers within are already twisted. Twist both of them at the same time, and they'll twist together, making a simple two-ply twist. Now, this isn't quite as high quality as the correct method, but for our purposes, this is going to work. I'll just tie a knot in the end, just like that. Okay, I tied it to this knot by wrapping it around not once, but twice, and then just doing an overhand knot. We'll see if that holds. Kind of experimental, but if it holds, then I know that it works. It's been a porcupine working on this willow tree. It's all these branches hanging down. All right. I don't want to put much brace into this bow. Just a little bit. Now to tie our half knock side, we do something special. First, step through your bow, put some tension on it. Then you're going to wrap around, underneath, back the other way, over top the bowstring in the back of the knock, but then underneath it, back here again. Fold around that way one more time, around the top, underneath, and then loop it through like this, and loop it through one last time. This makes a binding knot. I don't know what it's called, but it's very similar to what the Hadza people use. And I think many Native Americans use this knot, or some variation of it. Okay, hopefully that doesn't explode. Yeah, that's giving me enough draw to take a fish, for sure. Now I'll get through the hard scales of the carp. Okay, this is actually a deceptively strong bow. If I pull any more than this, I'm going to break the string. So I got to go low draw. I'm mostly going to draw by pushing my arm out instead of pulling my right arm in. This is more like how the Plains people, like the Lakota, shot. Let's get that arrow made. This one has potential. Nothing out here is ideal. There's hardly anything straight out here for miles. So these chokecherries are about my only option. Now clearly this is kind of thick, probably thicker than you'd think to use. This is also green. I'm going to carve this down. It's going to start drying out pretty quickly in the sun. And as it dries, I'll bend it straight too. We want this arrow so thick because it's going to shrink up a little. It's also going to be heavier that way. Just scraping the bark off. Using my knife like a planer. Getting down to that white wood. All that shavings, it'll dry out in a single day and be excellent timber. It has a sweet, almondy scent. Chokecherry bark is actually medicine too. It's used to suppress coughs. It has an antispasmodic effect on your bronchial tubes, meaning it stops spasms, relaxes the lungs, stops coughing that way. That's why today cough syrup is cherry flavored, because back in the day it was made with cherry bark. This is how I always do arrows. Even my finest hunting arrows, they're always scraped first. Carve down any rough spots too, any high spots. I don't care if this arrow is just a little fuzzy when I fire it. I don't think it'll make a difference for the carp either. There we go, a little knock there. Nothing about this has to be perfect, it just has to work once. Now, just gonna bump the bends out of it. As it dries, it'll keep that shape. Now, I don't have the time to let this dry fully, so however much it dries before I use it, that's how dry it's gonna be. Luckily, this is a very close range shot, so that gives me a little wiggle room with the quality of everything here. Now the front here, I'm going to carve some barbs into. I just want this to have a flat blade, just to minimize resistance. It goes deep into that fish as possible. Now, time permitting, I would make seasoned arrows, and I would make bone or stone points for them with barbs, and I'd make a longer lasting bow. But as I stated, this is for quick survival. Even if I fire hardened this bladed tip, that would do a lot too. But this is kind of the, I bugged out 3 days ago, living in the wilderness to protect myself, and I need some food now. That sort of scenario. Got this long blade for a tip. Carve some deep notches in that. Hopefully that'll hold on to a fish. Fish are really slippery. They're hard to keep on an arrow, unless it's very, very barbed. You can't do super deep barbs, do a lot of them, especially if your material is weak, like this green wood. That will really increase my chances. Alright, let's do one more barb. I think that'll do. There we go. I like that. Since this is a fish arrow, we need to be able to retrieve it. I tied some twine to this bottom notch here, and then we'll tie a simple half hitch here. That way it's anchored in the front and in the back, and hopefully won't get hung up. Just like that. We'll give ourselves 10 or 15 feet. That way we can retrieve our arrows, and hopefully those barbs are strong enough we'll actually be able to drag in the fish. Let's go get some dinner. First shot didn't penetrate. It's a heavy arrow on this bow. If I pull too much, this bow might break. Whoa. Man, I wonder if there's a predatory fish in the mix. Freaking out all these little fish. Just need one right on the bank here. There goes my bow. No, there goes the string. The bow's okay. So 2 things have gone wrong so far. First, my arrow has bounced off of multiple fish. I need to make this point much more slender so it actually pierces. And the second thing that went wrong was my 2-strand sisal twine bowstring was not up to the task. So I made a 3-strand instead. It feels much more durable. So that should hold up for us. I guess there's a third thing, and that is, I think this arrow's just a little too long. It's unwieldy. It's gotten a chance to dry out a little bit, and that's good. I think it's going to work better now. But I might just shorten it up a little. It's a little flimsy on the back end. go. Hopefully that does the trick. We'll take a few inches off this arrow. That'll do the trick. I feel better about that. I'll make sure the end of that twine is anchored to my wrist. There we go. Let's try this again. The carp have been spooked a little. Now they're much more elusive. I don't often see their backs above the water now, especially given that all this water is incredibly murky. There's no visibility through it. That was close. Got one. Oh, I got a little sucker. Got a little sucker fish. Let's see if we can get some more. Sucker fish really don't taste that bad. They get a bad reputation. Well, I didn't end up getting that carp, but I got that sucker fish. That's still something. There's just not really any big fish left in here. I think all the herons and raccoons have gotten them all. But even so, made a quick bow, and this will be great for small game. And there's plenty of wildlife around here for trapping too. And I showed you how to make that fishing arrow. And with this sucker fish, I was lucky and it barely stuck in. Just glanced right under a bit of skin on the back and it stayed. So it's a good design, well worth the effort. Bow fishing like this really only works if you're in close proximity to the fish, because that natural twine is really grippy on itself and holds a lot of water. So it binds up, it slows down your arrow after a couple shots. So the closer you can be, the better. And that's why more frequently in ancient times, spears were used, harpoons and stuff with ropes tied to them. They have a lot more weight than an arrow, so they can carry that cord through. I honestly like this bow a little bit more with the thicker string, so I think I'll keep this and put it in better condition, make this my small game bow. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. I got a lot of stuff in the works right now, some really cool videos you're gonna wanna see. If you want more in-depth tutorials on stuff like this, then follow my Sage Smoke Skills Exchange. It's on Patreon. Membership there is extremely cheap because I just want to grow a community. Check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.